Are we all on?
I think so. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes.
Okay. Good evening. Chief, we see your flag and we appreciate you for sharing.
Yes, ma'am.
Can we start with the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
Allegiance to the flag
flag
of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible,
with
with liberty and justice for all.
justice for all.
Okay, thank you. We are coming out of our executive session and we offer our sincere apologies for the delay, but we had some lengthy discussion that had to be handled. And we're here now, and I would like to ask if someone would like to offer up prayer to.
Sure. I would like to offer a moment of silence. Ashe.
Okay. As I said, we're coming out of our executive session where we're discussing real estate, legal matters, personnel. And right now I would like to ask for, I'm sorry. I would like to ask for a motion for approval of our September 14th minutes.
So moved.
I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
So moved.
I'll second.
Any questions or comments? Full council, please.
Mr. Simpson,
Yes.
Mr. Foltz,
Yes.
Mrs. Hunt,
Yes.
Ms. Salamine,
Yes.
Ms. Graves,
Yes.
Ms. Green,
Yes.
Ms. Lavender Norris.
Yes. Okay, and at this time for our accounts, approval for our accounts payable, could I get a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Questions, comments? Full council, please.
Ms. Green,
Yes.
Ms. Graves,
Yes.
Ms. Salamine,
Yes.
Mrs. Hunt,
Yes.
Mr. Foltz,
Yes.
Mr. Simpson,
Yes.
Mrs. Lavender Norris.
Yes.
Thank you, 7-0.
On for our additions, deletions, and modifications.
I'd like to add 6.5 under regular action items for the fish rodeo. Under discussion items, 7.2 for the city colors and 7.3 the SAM ordinance.
I'll second.
Questions, comments? Full council, please.
Mr. Simpson,
Yes.
Mr. Foltz,
Yes.
Mrs. Hunt,
Yes.
Miss Alamin,
yes,
Miss Graves,
Yes.
Mrs. Green,
Yes.
Mrs. Lavender Norris.
Yes.
Thank you. 7-0 carries.
Okay, on to our presentations at this point. And we'll begin with the 2019 Independent Audit Review from Ms. Pam Baker. Mr. Troutman?
Hi, this is Rich Troutman, the Finance Director, Madam President and Council. We're going to have a short review of our independent audit for last year. I'm going to introduce Mr. Edmund Fosu-Loria, who is a partner with our auditors, Barbara Kane and Thornton. And then after his presentation, either of us can answer any questions you may have. Ed, all yours.
Here.
We can't
Ed.
hear.
I can't hear him.
I don't even see him.
Yeah, he's
Nope.
on there, but I can't hear him. He's muted.
He's muted.
You're muted. There you go.
Your mic is not working.
Ed, if you can hear me, you may have to go to your, let's see.
Computer audio.
Or tell him to dial in. Sometimes it's easier to get a sound if you dial in with your phone.
Yeah, Ed, you might want to just dial in too, or go to your mute and look at the select microphone and or speaker, and just make sure that you're connected with your microphone.
It isn't showing up on the screen that he's muted.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I think it's his microphone on the computer.
On his end.
Trying to push his volume button. It could just be as simple as his volume.
Oh, he hears us, but we don't hear him.
If you don't
Hello.
There
Nope.
you go.
Hi there.
Am I good now?
Yes. You're
good.
Tell us you pushed
Good.
your volume button.
No, he's on the phone.
Oh,
I had it on, but
well,
Okay.
welcome.
Can everybody see my screen now?
Yes.
We can.
Yeah.
Great, great. Thank you very much. Sorry about the technical hiccup. So I'm Edmund Fosu-Loria. I'm the partner in charge of the City of Cookeville audit, and I'm here to present the December 31st, 2019 audit results to council. We have reviewed.
He's got to mute something. He's got both his computer and phone on.
We have reviewed the report
Ed,
with
sorry.
management, and they reviewed everything. And so we wanted to present to council today.
Oh, sounds good.
So the most important thing I wanted to mention today is, as part of the audit, we issued an unmodified opinion on your 2019 audit, which is a clean opinion on your DCED, and we also issued a clean opinion on your basic financial statement, which is on a modified opinion. It's the highest opinion you can get, meaning that there were no deficiencies in your internal controls or any major issues related to the audit that we performed. Your audit was performed under generally accepted accounting principles in the United States, and we also performed it under government auditing standards because the city is considered a government. Also wanted to mention that if you remember last year, the city had about 7 findings which related to your internal controls, meaning that there were deficiencies in your internal controls. This year, so the past year, management worked through it and were able to close 6 out of the 7 findings. So we currently just have 1 finding outstanding from the 7 that we had last year. So that's a great improvement in internal controls that management has, they put a lot of effort into getting these findings done. If you remember, the findings have been open for probably 5, 6, 7 years now, and we did have quite a few, but to bring it down to just 1 from 7 in a year, it's a good achievement. So I wanted to give kudos to management for putting a lot of effort into making sure that your internal controls are working effectively and efficiently, and making sure that the city funds are protected because you do have good internal controls currently. We didn't have any new findings during the current year audit, so that's also a good thing that I wanted to mention. Okay, I would like to jump to the numbers quickly, just to give you a little recap. So the fund balance, which is what the funds that is available for the city to use for future years. In 2019, the city's general fund had $479,000 in fund balance compared to $289,000. So there was a $190,000 increase in the general fund balance. Then your other big fund is the reserve trust fund. That went from $3.9 million to $3 million. And the decrease here is due to the fact that the capital reserve fund transferred $1 million to the general fund to assist in operations during the year. That's why we have that decrease in the capital reserve fund. Okay. So I also want to touch about your revenues and your expenditures. That's very important. As a city, you want to ensure you're bringing enough revenue to cover your expenditures during the year. So speaking with the general fund revenues for 2019 were $9.4 million, and expenditures were $9.2 million. So your revenues exceeded your expenditures. Sorry, and the expenditures were $9.8 million. Okay. For the general fund, there was a transfer of $1 million from the capital reserve fund to cover expenditures in the general fund. Okay. As you all know, the city also has the solid waste fund, which is another big fund of the city. Revenues decreased by $320,000, and expenditures also decreased by $40,000 comparing 2019 and 2018. And the reason here is that if you remember in 2017, 2018, the city put a lot of effort and started to collect the food penalties from citizens, so 2018 revenue showed up. And there was a decrease in the amount that was outstanding to be collected from residents. So that's a decrease in the revenues.
I'm having a hard time here.
So am I.
Sorry. Other highlights that I wanted to mention today was that the city revenues and expenditures both had a favorable budget variance, meaning that your revenues exceeded your budgeted revenues, and your expenditures were lower than your budget for 2019. Okay. Another notable mention here is that your pension payments for the fire, the police, and then our uniform pensions were all paid based on the MMOs that were done. The city made the payments in full during 2019. Okay.
This is really difficult.
And lastly, a couple of things I wanted to mention here. Just want to note that we had during the audit, and unfortunately, the audit was done during the COVID-19, when it just started. So, but management stood by us, and we had the approved corporation and they made sure the audit was done and submitted in time. We didn't have any disagreements with management, and as I mentioned earlier, the audit result was reviewed by management, and they approved it prior to submission to the DCED and issuing the final report. So that's a short summary of the audit results for 2019. If there are any questions, Rachel or myself will be able to answer now.
When will we be able to get a copy?
Yeah.
There should have been a complete audit in your package.
It is.
So
There is.
so if you did not get one, let me know and we'll make sure you get a
Yeah.
copy.
Yeah, I get it. I didn't get it, so I guess mine's at City Hall. I'll stop by and get it.
No, it's probably in West End, not down,
So the pension findings are being addressed, right?
Yes. Yes, the pensions were based on the MMO calculations that were done by the city's actuaries. The required contributions were made into the pension plan. And I'd also want to note that the funding level of the pensions continues to increase each year. So it's going in the right direction. If the market is doing good, the funding level of the pensions also improved. So comparing 18 and 19, the funding levels of the pensions have keep improving.
If I may piggyback, Ms. Green, I believe your question probably was geared toward the remaining open finding that we were not able to clear. So the good news is we did clear almost everything. The bad news is there's one of them that is still a structural problem between what the municipal code, when it was passed, conflicted with the bargained language. So we have to, lawyers are working to interpret it and resolve that open item. So there's a hope that it can be solved, but it might be into next year until we can get all the pieces worked through.
Okay.
Right.
I also hear that the investments for the last 2 years have made our MMO contribution less.
there's feedback somewhere.
What's going on with the sound?
I don't know. There's echoing and feedback everywhere.
Somebody has two things running. Their phone and their
You're not talking. Can you just put yourself on mute? Thank you.
Can you get that off our
Okay,
screen?
Rich, you can proceed with what you were saying.
Can we take everything off the screen?
He's on mute, I think.
Rich is trying to reconnect right now.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, with that, to Mr. Simpson's question, the coupling of the city's investments as required through the MMO calculations that were alluded to earlier being done by the actuaries, the city made those investments coupled with the performance of the market. the pension funds continue to improve toward their valuation being at what's required. So we are improving. We improved about 12 percentage points, I believe, on average in each of the pension plans towards full coverage of our actuarial liabilities. So it's most importantly, the trending is positive.
Good. Economy's good, investment is good. Good.
Can we get somebody to take that off the screen?
Thank you very much. I'll take that.
Who is that?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Madam President and Council.
Thank you.
Ed.
Is Chief Alderman online?
He's not online then.
I don't see him.
Mr. Logan, is Chief Alderman in the building?
Here. I'm here.
Okay, hi there, sir. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Grateful, thank you. You're up.
Okay, as reference to the Council Emergency Operation Plan. This is just a formality that has to be done since we have a change of leadership with the new city manager. Previously, when there's no changes, all I have to do is review it. And with no changes, I just sign off and send it into the county. But since we now have a new city manager, y'all were tasked with signing both for you, Ms. Norris, and for Mr. Logan.
Okay. And there is a copy of it in our packet. Are there any questions regarding this for Chief Alderman? Okay. Very well, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Next up is Mr. Crosby Wood, Downtown Revival. Crosby, you with us?
I am.
Hi
Can you hear me okay? Good evening, everyone. Hopefully I'm not echoing.
No, you're fine.
Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Great. Well, where would you like me to start? It's been a 3-year adventure, so I don't expect to take up nearly that much time this evening, but
thank you.
Yes. So again, I've been working with the county and the housing authority and with the community builders based out of Boston. And it's been a kind of a 3-year adventure, as I said. We are closing in on the final transfer date, and I am here to discuss the extinguishment of the $500,000 Department of Community and Economic Development grant that flowed through the city in the form of soft debt. More recently, actually this afternoon, it came to my, realization that perhaps an extinguishment request this evening is going to take a little bit more consideration. And so I put further thought into recommending or requesting that the council consider a subordination this evening as a way to allow me to continue forward with the transfer of these assets and the stabilization of these assets in the near term, while the council considers the long-term extinguishment of the debt. So I've spoken to a few council individuals about that, and here to field any questions. Not trying to go into any long saga of what this experience has been, but we feel like we're at the goal line. We have the Fulton financing in place. Fulton is a substantial bank, as many of you are aware, and they have a affordable financing arm that's dedicated to affordable housing. And so they were brought in several months ago or even earlier to take on this this request. And so lots of moving parts. So I don't necessarily want to bog down into details unless you have specific questions. But at the end of the day, as I said, it occurred to me that through my efforts with Downtown Revival and in getting the extinguishments of the different debts associated with that my request for subordination of the new financing, which is in the amount of basically $1 million, would be a net benefit to the city relative to the city's current position, which is in fourth position and behind more than $2 million in principal and probably $5 or $6 million in accrued interest. So basically, by at least considering and accepting my request, you basically go to you exchange many millions of dollars ahead of the city loan with basically the principal of $1 million that is extended by Fulton Bank in the interest of stabilizing Downtown Revival, which consists of 28 units, 22 residential, and 6 commercial. Again, I'm sure I could go on for hours, but happy to lay it out there with any questions, concerns.
I have a question. Mr. Wood, when you say subordinate, what do you mean by subordinate? How does that work? What are you talking about?
So let's say you buy a house and you get a mortgage. Your lender wants to be in first position. So and that means that if anything goes wrong, they're the first to bite at the apple. Now, sometimes you can convince an investor to take a second position or a third position. And what that means is you're subordinating, you're agreeing to stand behind somebody in front of you, such as in this case, the Redevelopment Authority has a $420,000 loan, and they are in first position with the Downtown Revival. What that means is, and what the reality of that is, that's actually hard debt. That's actually city money. I know there's some debate about RDA money and city money, but or Coatesville money. Basically, it's money coming from Coatesville going into this in to help the redevelopment, the Downtown Revival project. And that is, in this case, first position. Behind that, you have housing authority money, you have county money, then you have the Coatesville loan, and then you actually have TCB money. So there are 5 positions on Downtown Revival, which make it relatively complicated. So, basically, if the Redevelopment Authority, if the Downtown Revival, went into bankruptcy, the Redevelopment Authority would have first position to get their money at a liquidation sale, and then so on and so forth. So basically, subordination, long story very short, is basically you're willing to stand behind another, giving somebody else preference in the, order of priority. Did I butcher that well enough?
Well, no, but understand that the RDA money is the city money.
Absolutely.
That's the property came from the city. It's the city money.
Absolutely.
That's the board, that's board debt right there.
Yep. And
Not
in that
sold.
case, right. And so when I approached this deal, I always knew that was money that needed to be repaid, and it was hard money, and never questioned that money was to be repaid. And in this case, that $420,000 has been paid down to the order of about $100,000. and is part of the payoff at closing.
So I guess when you say, I'm a little confused here. The terms of the downtown revival agreement are that the loan is payable in what, 40 or 2042?
Yes. It was a 40-year loan that was initiated in 2002.
Okay, so, but in the event that there's a sale, it would be paid off. So
That's
I
what
guess,
the paperwork says.
so I guess what
That
you're
is-
asking us is that
Yeah.
instead of paying off the loan, you keep the
Yeah.
terms of the loan the same. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I am saying that the loan stays exactly the way it is, but it rather than it being paid off, it sits behind the Fulton loan. Instead of being in fourth position, it now is in second position. And instead of being behind many millions of dollars in debt, it is now behind only $1 million in debt, which is a net benefit to the city.
So then you would pay it off in 20 years. Is that what you're saying?
I would say that I would pay it off in 20 years if the council decides that it does not want to extinguish the debt. Yes. And so that would be the second and the next conversation.
So would you be willing to negotiate that as opposed to this being your property? Why would you want the city on there?
Well, when I underwrote this property, the financing in this property, I basically looked at, okay, well, I started with the county and with the housing authority, which are responsible for the Hope 6 monies. And effectively, I said, in order to stabilize these properties long term, we need to extinguish all of the debt that basically is assumed as soft debt. It's never expected to be repaid. So you have Department of Community Development money, block grant money. You have Housing Authority money, which was Hope 6 money. There is some other county money in these different deals. And effectively, everybody understood that these properties are all bleeding money. I mean, basically, with regards to downtown revival, Wells Fargo is a tax credit investor, and they invested money into this project. And the only reason they invested money in this project is because they would get tax credits. It had nothing to do with the underlying assets. And as a result, they were correct because they lost $1 million over the course of their ownership in this project. So we, going into this, we expect that we can run the properties better and that we will run them more profitably. But we are still obliged to affordable restrictions. The 22 units are they are renewed when I convert away from HUD. They will be restricted for another 20 years, and then I believe they're restricted for another 20 years after that. So these things are not in any case like going to be. They are what they are. They're affordable housing, and so it's taken me as a real estate investor a long time to kind of get my arms around this world of affordable housing. And I approached it in a way of like, I don't want to go down and say, okay, I want tax credit and I want to go out and seek 4% tax credit or 8% tax credit and complicate the process. What I wanted to do is unwind the whole thing, get rid of everything that is never intended to be paid at all, and put conventional financing in place, which would basically a bunch of escrows that guarantee the stability of these properties over the next 20 years.
And they're back on the tax rules?
I'm sorry?
And they're back on the tax rules?
They are all on the tax rolls. They all remain to be on the tax rolls. Absolutely. Yes, they all claim money. I can, it's recorded now. There's nothing that in any project that I want to do that has anything to do with taking anything off the tax rolls. So if you ever hear there's a rumor that I'm doing something that's taking something
Oh,
that's on
no.
the tax off,
Yeah,
I
I've not
guarantee-
heard anything like that. I was just
Sure,
making a
I
statement.
understand. No worries.
So-
But
Mr.
Yep.
Crosby, could you explain,
sure.
so that we can get a better understanding as to why it was never intended for this money to be repaid?
The reason that it was never intended to be repaid is that it was a grant from the Department of Community and Economic Development from the state. Just like the Hope 6 grants or the Department of Community and Economic Development, the block grants from the county. The reason that they're recognized as debt is that for some reason, and I can't understand why this is the case, but basically the IRS recognizes grants coming into a project as income. So what happens is that it's what they call phantom income. So if that $500,000 was directly injected into the downtown revival project, it would be an immediate tax event on Wells Fargo, the tax credit investor, which would basically compromise the deal. So just like all the other debt, it has to kind of flow through a local entity that's willing to show it as debt. And the reason that in this case, if you look at the terms, I mean, yes, it does recognize it as debt, and it's got to be bona fide. I mean, it's got to look like debt and act like debt, and but when it says, okay, you pay it in 40 years and there's no interest, it's technically really not debt. Now, I'm not here to debate about it, but in the world of affordable housing, and I actually enclosed today a synopsis or an legal opinion from Vince Donahue, who is the
Mr. Wood, I just want to correct John that was an email from Mr. Donahue. It was not a formal legal opinion.
That's right.
Okay. So,
and Mr. Crosby, I have a question as well. You said your units are affordable housing. Is this like mixed income housing, or is it all low income housing? And then just like a clarification about what you meant by moving away from HUD.
Well, so what happens is that HUD they've created a program called RAD. It's called Rental Assistance Demonstration. HUD has been doing a terrible job at managing buildings across the nation. You go up to New York, they have hundreds of thousands of disastrous projects all over the place. So they've looked themselves in the mirror and said, you know what, we need to get out of this. We are not landlords. We're terrible at this. So what they've done is they've created RAD. And so RAD is something that's come around recently, and they basically said, okay, we don't want to be the landlords anymore. We don't want to inspect. We just want to be more like, we want to flow it through the housing authority. So I think everybody is very familiar with Section 8. Section 8, which is, you have project-based housing, and then you also have what's called housing that's it's tenant-based housing. So that's what Section 8 is. So they pay a person or a family can get a voucher, and they can go wherever they want, and they can apply. And you've heard that many times. So you take Section 8, et cetera. Now, project-based housing is basically where that subsidy is fixed to the unit and not the person. So in the case of Downtown Revival, there's 22 units there they're fixed, and so they might have 30% market rate rents. They might have 60%, and so so there's all this compliance issue and all this good stuff. Long story short, when I say HUD wants out, is basically I have to demonstrate to HUD through the financing that I've secured through Fulton Bank that I can sustain these properties via cash flow and escrowed money to manage them in a basically stabilize these properties over the next 20 years. So that's the piece on HUD. Your first question, I'm sorry.
And so is there anything binding you to keeping those housing affordable once HUD steps out?
Absolutely. That's the RAD is that's a major initiative. That's probably their number one initiative for HUD is like okay, we're going to step out, we're going to release our restrictive covenants that we have on this deed, but we want to know that it's going to be remain affordable, and we want to know that it's not going to come back and bite us, you know, if we hand this stuff over. So that's the affordability on just HUD. Also, with the extinguishments of the housing authority in the county, they both have restrictive covenants too, and they say, listen, we're going to wash away this debt, but this is affordable housing, and there's this. It is so there's many restrictions that that keep it the way it is.
There was some investment from the city to be able to acquire this property, to be able to turn it over to revitalize Coatesville.
That would be the $420,000 that came out of, that's recognized as the RDA. So if we're getting back to the the $500,000, that is basically a state investment into the project that flowed through the city. And again, I pick my battles. I respect everybody's opinion here. I tried to lay out the facts. Affordable housing is complicated, but the reality is that affordable housing it's a loss leader. And when I say that, it basically means that nobody's making money. So in this case, the community builders, and I think Ms. Green was the only one that was around at this time when they started this. The community builders mismanaged this property for the last 20 years. It's been a black eye for community builders. It's black eye for the county, for the housing authority. It's been a mess. I mean, it's just been a disaster. Fortunately, in the last year or so, they've had some decent management just to kind of manage it. But these guys they've exited out of all of their what would I say, second and tertiary markets. They're focusing on major markets, Philadelphia, Boston. They've got 20,000 units, and they could care less. I mean, yes, they care, but they really don't have the bandwidth to really care about what's happening in Coatesville, because it's just like, it's so far beyond them at this point, and the proof is in the pudding. They just haven't been able to successfully manage them. So that's when the conversation initially started, actually, with my relationship with Sonny, who actually had some experience at HDC, which is Housing Development Corporation, and they're another low-income operator. And, and Sonny and I are obviously there's no secret that we're working on trying to create a brighter future for the town. And we're like, the last thing we need is another low-income operator to replace the bad operator already here. And so that's where the conversation started. And I kind of held on tight for the whole last 3 years. And when it comes to the downtown revival, there's a lot of complexities there, but we've
Mr. Crosby,
I have one question. Yeah. What would you say when you say affordable housing? What are you calling affordable? Like, can you give an idea of what rents might be?
Well, it's income restricted. So let's just say that one unit, and each unit is different, but one unit says, okay, you can only charge rent based at 60% market, because that's and that's the restriction. One will say it's 30%. It's just they're kind of all over, and again, that's kind of adds
income based.
Yes, sorry, excuse me, Mr. Crosby. I have a question. So, is there any way that we can look at paperwork just showing kind of all these restrictions and things, so we can really make sure that this housing is going to remain low income and be equitable for community members, that you're bound to keep up these properties and everything, because it is important that we have affordable housing in our community, but it's also important that this affordable housing be equitable and be livable. Sure. And then maybe, negotiate the debt issue.
Yeah. The reality is that, I'm happy to share however deep you want to get into it. Right now, there's several restrictive covenants on these properties. I mean, starting with with HUD, and then with the county and the housing authority. The city really, they just kind of they're on the periphery of this, really. I mean, they just kind of help to make it happen, but the community builders put it together and worked with the housing authority and the county to finance it. And there was some local collaboration with the former city manager. But yeah, I mean, I'd be happy. There's nothing to hide. You know, it is restrictive housing, and that's why there's many millions that are being washed away, because it traditionally just doesn't make money. The request I would have, and you know, is that is whether you all would consider a subordination so I can continue to move forward with what I'm trying to do in transferring assets. It doesn't take away from anything that you guys are, you know, what your position are. And frankly, as I said, I feel like it enhances it. You know, perhaps you can empower somebody to say, okay, well, knowing that the restrictions are there, that, you know, perhaps that you can move forward with that with kind of contingencies. But I again, hoping that, you know, as I said, working on this for 3 years, and I'm, you know, basically right up against the goal line, and this is kind of a hurdle that pretty much, you know, creates further delays if it's not granted. So, with respect.
How soon did you need a decision?
Well, we were focused on transferring the assets on Wednesday, and as of today, we continued. There were some additional delays with the financing, so the 7th of October is the revised date, which is a week from Wednesday.
Did we acquire this property on eminent domain?
No, it's actually an asset transfer. So the existing limited partnership will remain, and everything that, you know, all the covenants will be reissued. But the actual downtown revival limited partnership remains intact.
What is the actual address of the property?
I could send you a list, but it's here. Better, I could tell you based on the commercial property, the commercial tenants. So there is a Aquin tax preparer down by it's probably like 120 or 130 East Lincoln.
Society.
Okay.
Right across,
Yeah,
right?
that's why I asked if we acquired that building through eminent domain with that owner. I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, so this whether Paul Jansen did that 20 years ago,
Yeah.
that's a whole nother story. I don't know anything about that.
That was the only
then
way he would sell. I'm quite sure that was the only way he would sell.
Okay, and then you have Liberty Tax Building. You have the number 1 kitchen and the salon next to it. And then you have the I think it's a cellular place right on the other side of the courthouse, of the old courthouse.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, that one. And then there's a building on the back side of that where H2O Degree is located. So that's 5 deeds, six buildings. So there's 6 commercial spaces. I think I got them all. Yeah, Metro PC sorry, I'm not to the top of my head. And then there's 22 residential units that exist above them. So, you know, again, what I'm asking is that, you know, I basically, outside of the, there's 5 pieces of debt. We're paying off the redevelopment authority, which effectively comes to the city. And then we're washing away everything else but the $500,000 loan that's in the name of the city. And so what I'm asking is that the Fulton is able to come in first position, and then the city loan sits behind it, and that's the only two pieces of debt moving forward. And then we can continue the conversation of trying to extinguish the debt. And if you all decide that that's not in your interest, and however then I can't argue with you. I'm gonna lay it out, but I take your lead on that, and but it allows me to continue to move forward with investing in the city.
You said your new date is October 7th. We have another
That's correct.
council, our next meeting will be on the 12th, which would be after you would need an answer from us.
That's correct.
And it's apparent, from the discussion that's gone forth to this point, that council probably needs more information and understanding.
That's fine.
So I don't know how we can do it. Maybe if you communicate with the city manager, and if some of the council members and Mr. Troutman would like to sit in on that also, you communicate that information, get it all in order, and then it could be shared with the entire council so we can come to a conclusion decision
Sure.
to move forward.
It's so
Sure.
unfortunate, Mr. Wood, because if this would have been something that would have been brought before council months and months and months ago,
Yeah.
council as a whole did not have the full information, and
Yeah.
it's just
And we still do.
previous administration did not share half of the stuff with us.
Mrs. Green, we have
Uh-huh.
also been trying to collect documentation
Documentation,
for about the last 5 months, 6 months
Okay, yeah,
regarding this matter, so we could inform council.
yeah.
It has been quite a challenge to do that. Also, Madam President, if there is any modification of the debt, council would be required to pass an ordinance amending the
Ordinance.
original debt ordinance. So that would have to be put in the pipe.
And that
First
would
reading,
take 2 readings, right, Mr. Verway?
that is
Yes.
correct.
Well, could we agree that he could continue and, that he can continue to pursue everything that he needs to pursue while we come to the conclusion?
I don't know that his lender will close without an affirmative act on the debt.
Okay.
So would a
But
subordination
here's-
require as well? I'm sorry. Would a subordination require an ordinance as well?
It would be any modification of debt whatsoever, and that would include a subordination agreement, would require an amending ordinance, right?
So I guess my biggest concern is how you guys have been working on trying to get paperwork and this and that and everything to try and clear this up for the last 4 or 5 months. And we've never really heard about this until just the other week. Just
Well,
recently. That's what
we
I'm
heard about
concerned
it.
about. It's like, we should have been aware of this months ago, that you were trying to get this documentation.
We were aware of that. He made
When?
us aware of that.
How long ago?
It was several months
Several
ago.
months back,
He
yeah.
made
We
us
were aware.
aware that when this issue was brought up about this $500,000 loan and the way it was set up through the county and the different entities, he did make us very much aware of the fact that he was going to research to see if he could find the documentation. Did
Well,
you
we
know
haven't heard
Mr.
anything
Burway
since then.
months and months ago,
Right.
correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so Mr. Verway, the suggestion I was making, I don't know the makeup of the group, but would that be sufficient for the information for you all to come together and bring this to a head so council has the information in order to make an informed decision?
Certainly a working group could address that. And, if council has specific direction, if they'd like to pursue it subordination agreement with some, modification or discussion or negotiation with Mr. Wood, we certainly could go down that path now and try to have something ready for the 12th.
Well, I think that's what Mr. Wood was saying, that it would still leave the negotiation open for if we would be second, still that mortgage would still be there second, and we could negotiate that even afterwards.
Yeah, but we would need, council would need to adopt an amending ordinance in order to grant the subordination or enter into a subordination agreement.
I see.
What is council's desire? Do we want to proceed? What do you want to do? What's the majority?
Well, I would like to proceed. I would,
I think
and I think that we just leave it open to the still discussion. So whatever we need to do to be able to do that.
Yeah. I'd like to see us have.
But I don't want to hold him up.
I'm sorry, Ms. Green, I cut you off. I'm sorry.
I don't want to hold up him for too long. If we can just get on that now and allow him to continue his progress while we come to a decision.
Yeah, I would like to have full disclosure of this loan process, because when I was speaking with you, then another question came across, so I wasn't totally finished with what I was saying at the time. So I would like to have full disclosure about the loan and why it's at the state it's at now, as well as if you have any documentation to support the grant that was received in place of the loan or in conjunction with the loan.
Right.
We can really see how this thing all fit in together.
I agree with that,
Totally
Councilwoman Hunt.
Mrs. Hunt,
I'm totally in agreement with trying to help you move a project like this forward. Yes, sir.
Mrs. Hunt, there are, we did try to obtain grant documentation. We communicated with DCD. They required a right to know request. So that was a rather protracted process, but in the end, they don't have a contract for the grant. So we don't have any documentation other than a couple letters. And even the ordinance that was passed by City Council makes reference to a grant, but does not include a copy of any documentation contracts between DCD and the city, or any evidence there was transfers of money. So we really don't have any documentation other than indications there was a grant, an ordinance that says there was a grant with no supporting documentation, and a mortgage and note. Those are the only things we really have in our possession.
So the mortgage and note shows that this money is indeed owed. Is that correct?
Does everybody on council have a copy of the loan agreement, the mortgage, or whatever it is?
I don't recall getting one.
I also don't have a copy of the loan agreement.
I don't either.
Can we get that to everybody?
Yes, we'll circulate that.
Yes, Mr. Cosby, I mean, I'm willing to work, accept you continuing to work while we leave negotiations open for this matter. I think what's really going to be important for me to see is just all the clauses that makes sure that these properties remain equitable and remain affordable.
Sure.
So, Mr. Burway, where would that put us in a legal standpoint if we allow Mr. Wood to move forward prior to coming to the ultimate goal and negotiating this $500,000 figure that we're talking about?
Well, Mr. Wood would have to do so at his own risk. I mean, I think he understands, and in talking with his lender, he would not have a subordination agreement or anything evidencing the forgiveness of the loan. So he'd have to work with see what his lender is comfortable with. I don't know that and I can't give him legal advice in that front. All I know is that, for council to modify the original debt, it's going to have to pass an ordinance. So we can get that done in October. That would put him into November for a closing, unless his lender is agreeable to closing with this matter still left open.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Verway, would this matter put us in a position to call a special executive meeting for this?
Well, ultimately, an ordinance would be required. It should be a public vote.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
But we could, but can we talk about it in a special executive session so that we're ready before that ordinance is put together?
I think
In this real estate?
Yes, if there's a real estate issue, yes, it'd be a discussion of a negotiation of a contract or agreement. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So the sooner we get the information, the sooner everybody obtains the information, the sooner we can go over it, and we can call a special executive to do and discuss and move forward on it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Crosby. Have
Thank
a
you.
wonderful evening. Don't
Thank you.
leave,
Have a nice-
stay in the meeting.
Yep.
Stay in
got
the
it.
meeting as long as we are.
Thanks,
All right.
Crosby.
Okay, that's it for discussion. We're on to citizens' hearings. Do we have any?
No, I don't have anything.
Thank you.
I make a motion to close citizens hearings.
I'll second.
Questions, comments? Full council, please.
Mr.
You're
Logan,
muted.
you're still muted.
Mrs. Green, thank you.
Yeah. Yes.
Ms. Graves,
Yes.
Ms. Alamy,
Yes.
Mrs. Hunt,
Yes.
Mr. Foltz,
Yes.
Mr. Foltz,
Yes.
thank you. Mr. Simpson,
Yes.
Mrs. Lavender Norris,
Yes.
7-0 carry.
I'm so sorry, Mr. Logan, and council. Before we voted, I did want to make a comment regarding citizens hearings. Now, if residents are making comments on the YouTube, those comments cannot be deleted. I know we had an issue last time. Those comments cannot be deleted. If you're viewing YouTube at a later time or a different day, the comments will not show until you get to the end of the video and you can push the button for live comments. I know that there was some things that happened that it was said that we deleted the comments. The comments cannot be deleted. If someone is putting down writing a comment, they can delete their own comment, but we can't delete any of the comments. So just for FYI, if you're viewing this video at a later time, the comments do not show right away. They will show at the end of the video, or you can click the button to view the live comments. I just wanted to put that out there as an FYI.
Okay. Thank you. And we're on to our regular action items at this point. And 6.1 is receive and consider resolution 2020-16, appointing a tax collection committee delegate. Can I get a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Mr. Logan, if you would expound, please.
Actually, I will turn that over to Mr. Troutman, our financial director.
Hello, Madam President and Council. This is an annual activity that designates who will be voting at the meeting for the county, principally for the earned income tax, which is collected on behalf of the city.
Very well. Thank you, sir. Are there any questions or comments, council?
Yes, so how are these delegates picked?
Finance office and the city manager.
They're staff of the city.
Pardon me?
Staff.
They are staff or employees of the city.
And,
Finance
and
office.
you appoint them or you choose them?
Well, no, we don't. We didn't go through any formal voting, if that's what you're asking. I mean, Rich is our finance director, so he would be the lead person with the most knowledge. And Jessica Arthur, she would be the second with the most
Thank you.
knowledge.
Any other questions, comments?
And then I just have a question. So the tax collection committee delegates, they just collect the earned income taxes?
Rich, you want to answer that, please?
Yeah, there's a prescribed agenda, and principally it is to approve the budget of the expenses related to collecting the earned income tax for the county. And so each of the represented municipalities provides a delegate who votes on that, and then we get our fair share expense from that. Is principally so that we have representation on what we'll end up paying for our portion of the collection efforts.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? Full council, please.
Mr. Simpson,
Yes.
Mr. Foltz,
Yes.
Mrs. Hunt,
Yes.
Miss Alameen,
Yes.
Miss Graves,
Yes.
Mrs. Green,
Yes.
Mrs. Lavender Norris.
Yes.
7-0 carries.
6.2, receive and consider the 2020 proposed budget calendar for the year 2021. Could I get a motion?
I'll make that motion.
A second.
Oh, was that Mr. Foltz, that second?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Are there any questions or comments regarding the dates, the calendar?
I do have a comment on the calendar. So in the event that, of course, whether it's due to weather or anything, natural causes, calendars are subject to change. So I just want to make sure that in the event of natural weather disasters, so on and so forth, this calendar is subject to change.
Yeah.
I have just a quick comment. Can we repeat the dates that are proposed just for the public?
They're in the dates are in your book. Would you like me to just read them off for the public?
Yes, please.
October 12th, the council authorized advertisement or advertisement of special meeting and work sessions for budget. October 12th, submission and presentation of proposed preliminary budget. October 14th, legal notice, special meetings and work session for the budget. October 22nd.
Mr. Logan, you're going in and out.
Sorry?
Good to me.
Me
Oh,
too.
I don't know. On my side, you were going in and out, like it wasn't everywhere.
Go ahead. Proceed.
October 22nd, budget work session. October 29th, budget work session. November 9th, council adopts preliminary budget ordinance at first reading and authorizes advertising, excuse me, for preliminary budget, November 11th, legal notice referring to the preliminary budget available for public inspection, November 25th, public hearing on preliminary budget, December 14th, adoption of budget.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Logan.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments? Full council, please.
Mrs. Green,
Yes.
Ms. Graves,
Yes.
Ms. Alamin,
Yes.
Mrs. Hunt,
Yes.
Mr. Foltz,
Yes.
Mr. Simpson,
Yes.
Mrs. Lavender Norris.
Yeah.
7-0 carries.
6.3, receive and consider the Halloween and trick or treat. Can I get a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Well, I don't know if this has been the first time a city has ever received or consider Halloween, but I guess we're going to be the first. This is based on a number of calls the city has received from local residents and members of the community requesting what is the city or asking what is the city going to do for Halloween. After looking at other emails from other municipalities, everyone is basically, this is pretty much a trial and error situation. Some folks are moving forward with their trick or treat. Certainly the residents are doing something different. Some are going to be putting out tables for the kids just to grab something in a bowl. Of course, it's all sealed candy. Some are going to have parades, kind of in costumes on their blocks. So I think everyone is doing something a little bit different. But the residents were just calling here to see if the city was, supporting trick or treat this year or not. So I just wanted to bring it to your attention that the residents are looking for some direction, and I think certainly with COVID being the way it is, you want to be protective. If you're going to do something where people are out and about, I still think they should wear a mask. If they're going to wear costumes, they should wear masks. And the kids, depending on the individuals who are involved in the trick-or-treating or trunk-or-treat, or just leaving a bowl out and watching the kids go by, sitting on your lawn, that's totally an individual's option. But again, the community just wanted to know how does the city feel on trick-or-treat this year.
Mr. Logan, I have a suggestion. I like the idea of doing a car parade for people who want to be in costumes, want people to see them, and maybe riding throughout this, riding down the highway to keep the spirit for folks who really want it, but in a way that's contactless and mitigates exposure. And then just like another suggestion is maybe like a contactless Halloween where you leave the bowl, out on the porch. I guess that you just wouldn't be able to control whether the trick-or-treaters crowd in that way. And so whatever we do, I think it would have to be something contactless for sure.
Great. Yeah, I think it really is going to depend on the creativity of those who are handing out the candy. If it were me, I probably would have Lysol and wipes and and everything else. But I think more importantly, if there's an opportunity for people to distance themselves, if they're coming to your home, you should create that distance. 10 feet from your porch. Have them on the lawn. Maybe have something that separates. If there's a bunch of people walking on your sidewalk, separate them out, if they come up. But I think people are responsible, and I don't think those who are going to do it anyway are just going to abandon the seriousness of COVID right now. I think they will be very mindful of what's going on.
What will be the time?
I'm sorry?
What will be the time?
I don't know. I have to look at last year's time that we kind of, the official time. With, our youth, many of our youth are at home now. So maybe there's an opportunity to have a designated time that's much earlier than it was in previous years. And I think if we move to that direction, then certainly, a lot of kids can catch the daytime hours and do it maybe in a couple hour blocks, from 4 to 6 or from 5 to 7, somewhere in that area there.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask this question, and I don't know if it's possible to do it or not. If we did something like this, and I'm thinking more of the main streets, First Avenue down to 13th. That's where we end. Would we be able to put like a temporary block out to block off the main street and then allow the kids to walk in the street as opposed to crowding the sidewalks just for those 2 hours? Like just a little barrier in front of each street. Every second all the way down. And then that way the children can walk in the middle of the streets as opposed to crowding the sidewalks or whatever. I don't know. That's just something I thought about.
Yeah, personally, I think it would be difficult to close Lincoln Highway again. I mean, we only get an opportunity to close it a few times a year. And because it is a state highway, that request is very difficult.
No, I wasn't so much talking about closing Lincoln Highway. I'm talking about the side streets. Like going up 4th Avenue, going up 5th Avenue.
Right.
That way, that's what I was speaking of, not so much a Route 30.
Okay, all right. I think we might be challenged with the same thing, not so much because of the traffic flow of like Lincoln Highway, but any road closures would require permits to do that. And in addition to that, we now would have to look at the planning, and that would include police department, fire department, just to make sure people are safe.
Okay,
So,
yeah. I guess when you think about that, then you would have to think of the backside being blocked off as well. Yeah. Okay.
But if someone lives on 4th Ave or 5th Ave and they just have folks on the sidewalk, I mean, I think that's great. Just kind of keeping them on the sidewalk, and that way people can actually see them a little bit closer to their homes. So, I just wanted to bring it to to council's attention tonight. We have until October 12th, I would imagine, to make a decision on it, but at least just want to present it for discussion. And if you wanted to act on it tonight, we could. And if not, if we needed some more time, then we can bring it back for October 12th.
Put a 6-foot piece of PVC pipe on your porch and send it down through the
Did you see
tube.
that one guy that had that?
Yeah,
on the news?
that's a pretty good idea.
I know that was a pretty good idea.
Yeah, but everybody don't have those banisters like that. That was a pretty neat idea. I mean, I'm for having it as long as the residents on each street monitor, what they're doing and keeping the children safe.
And wear regular masks. I mean, their Halloween masks are not going to be sufficient. They need to have the
masks.
Yeah.
I mean, we've taken everything away this summer. They've done absolutely nothing. But we also have to keep in mind that the positive testing of COVID is on a rise in Chester County.
It is.
We have to keep
And
that.
and it's on a rise with our young people.
With our
In
young
particular,
people.
in
Those
City of Coatesville.
things have to figure in. So, and with the kids being so young, I'm sure the parents will be extra careful and extra cautious of making sure they're protected. And then those that may be handing the candy out as well, with gloves and masks, and making sure that everybody is safe. That's the main thing: safety of everybody.
Yeah.
I think it's up to
since we are doing, now that we're doing live Zoom meetings and the public is on tonight on YouTube, I'd like to hear from the public. Send us your comments. As Councilwoman Green said earlier, we can't answer them tonight, but at least we can have some of your comments and bring them back for October 12th.
As long as you don't ask us to cancel Christmas.
Santa won't like that.
Yeah, that one's coming, right?
All right.
Any other questions or comments?
Are we
upon-
voting on it?
Upon, yeah, because it's an action item, but once Mr. Logan is able to look back at and see our previous times for trick-or-treating,
Excuse me,
we'll
Ms.
know
Lavender?
for sure it could be posted. I'm sorry?
Excuse me, I looked it up. It's been 6 to 8.
Okay. So we might want to do it a little earlier in the day now.
5 to 7?
I would say 4 to 6. Because
Yeah.
it'll get dark early.
Right. So maybe 4 to 6 would be the better time, better hours. And then we can go ahead and post it on our social media outlets and all that good stuff. Okay?
And Mr. Logan, as they're calling, maybe we could even, I mean, it's not a must because you can't make people do things, but maybe encourage people on their streets to do something special for the children right there on their street.
Right.
So you don't have them all over the city, but, concentrate it more into the area where they live, if that's possible.
Right. And again, I'd be more than happy to, do a little bit more research, to see what some municipalities are doing. Again, some folks they're going to have wipes and trick-or-treat bags this year. So the important thing is, to remember is if you're buying candy that's already packaged, it's just like us going into the grocery store now. We're trusting that, we get it home, we wipe it down. So I would imagine parents are going to be doing the same thing.
Right.
Okay. Poll council, please.
Are we polling council on just the time for trick or treat? Okay. All right. Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Mr. Folks?
Yes.
Mrs. Hunt?
Yes.
Miss Alameen?
Yes.
Miss Alameen?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear you. Miss Graves?
Yes.
Mrs. Green?
Yeah.
Mrs. Lavender Norris?
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
You gotta move around.
Yeah, excuse me. These lights are killing me.
Didn't
Right,
have to go far.
7-0 carried.
Okay, 6.4, receive and consider an agreement between the City of Coatesville and the Utility Service Partners Private Label, Inc. Could I get a motion?
So
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Mrs. Hunt made the motion.
No, Mrs. Green.
Is that Hunt or Green?
Hunt
Green.
made it, and then Green made it, and then.
Oh, I didn't hear you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't hear you. Go ahead.
Hunt and
Nice
Alameen?
second.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So this, council members, this is a marketing agreement with a company called HomeServe USA. And basically, this is promoted by the National League of Cities to provide services or opportunities for residents to look at other means of, and I'll just read it. Whereas the city desires to offer property owners the opportunity, but not obligation, to purchase a service plan and other similar products set forth in Exhibit A. And I'll read Exhibit A. In writing for time to time for parties. Whereas the company, a subsidiary of HomeServe USA, is an administrator of National League of Cities Service Line Warranty, and has agreed to make the products available to property owners subject to the terms and conditions contained hereas. So it's not so much that we are supporting or endorsing these particular products. Under this program, municipalities throughout the state, what they do is they add their logo in support for the particular services. And again, it's really up to the homeowner if they want to look at these services. And the services include, just look here. Sorry, I'm scanning it now. There's so much writing here.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Sorry. The services are for reduction in utility services, and that includes, water, sewer and water lines, anything that would be a reduction in a homeowner's property. So again, it's not something where the city is going to be going out soliciting. It's something where a homeowner would receive something in the mail, and we don't do the mailer. This particular company will have our seal on it, and it's just to make residents aware that there are options when it comes to their utilities.
But with our seal on it, isn't that going to be a little bit deceptive? Some people would think if they receive something with our seal on it, that the city was a partner of it, or I don't know. That's how I would look at it.
The city would be a partner, but not in terms of offering the products or services. I mean, it's a partner. Again, it's more of a marketing agreement. It's just like looking at Verizon, being in the city of Coatesville, and if Verizon was to put out a mailer to offer residents a reduction in their wireless bill, I think we might want to have the city seal on it. We can
So that's like all the stuff we already get. You can change to a different electric carrier. That type of a service?
Well, this is more related to, but not so much electric. This is more related to your water.
Right, but I was just using that as an example. But we still
correct.
have to get our water from PA Water, right?
Right, and this would provide you with, insurance options. A lot of our residents here, they don't have insurance. This would provide them with,
PA
information.
Water offers that.
I'm sorry?
PA Water offers that.
Right, this would be an alternative to PA Water.
I have a question. So with this marketing agreement, how do we just pick one? Wouldn't we have to put this out to bid, Mr. Barway?
I think you could issue an RFP for, if you wanted to get in that business, or have that type of relationship, you may want to RFP it. I don't know, you'd have to necessarily bid it out. Because it's not.
What makes this any different than saying we have to do an RFP for a solar project?
I didn't say it was any different. This is actually,
Okay.
when I got the packet, it was the first time that I saw the agreement.
And I think one of the thing that makes it different, Councilman Simpson, is, I mean, it's endorsed, or HomeServe USA, let's say, has been endorsed by the National League of Cities, which most of the municipalities are members of. So that's pretty much the only difference.
Are we a member of that?
Yes.
We a member of the Pennsylvania
Yes.
Municipal. I mean, they're two different organizations, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
And we're a member of both?
Yes, we are.
Yeah, I just think if we put our seal on it, I mean, you know, Pennsylvania American offers the same coverage. And also I have a question in there under one of their scope of coverages. It says external water service line plan. It says property owner responsibility from the meter and or curb box to the external wall of the home. So one thing they're saying, they're going to offer that coverage, but here the scope of coverage says that that's the property owner's responsibility. I think, I don't know if that's not what they intended to say, or.
I don't know.
So does this help?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Does this help cover, does the insurance help cover like homeowners' water lines and stuff like that?
If they have it, yeah.
Yeah, it would. And the thing, I think they, you know, this company or this organization, they market cities like Coatesville because, you know, we have some very old sewer lines. A lot of folks, you know, often have problems with, you know, leaks and busted pipes, and their insurance doesn't cover it often.
Councilperson Graves, just so that you know though, and I can say this because I have it, PA Water offers this same insurance.
Same
inside,
coverage.
you can get inside plumbing insurance. I had my lateral replaced, the whole run of my property. I only paid the deductible of $50. They offer all the insurances. And I don't know, Mr. Logan, we as council, PA American Water already offers that. I don't know that this is such a good idea for us to.
I think PML offers it because every municipality does not have that. And that was something with Pennsylvania American, there was a negotiation. It's not something that they do for everyone.
What I was saying before you interrupted me, Councilwoman Green, is I don't know that we as council should be promoting other companies to come in here and render these services, and our very own PA Water that we get our water from offers these same services. I don't know that that's something.
Yeah, well, that's fine. I mean, this is not, the city does not receive any monetary gain from this. This is,
no, but our logo goes on it.
No, I know, but I'm saying if we don't do it, we're not losing out on anything.
A lot of people don't have the insurance.
All right.
Wait, time out here. The agreement says that we get 50 cents a contract.
Well,
so that's a monetary gain.
It is indeed.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Thank you.
I think we should look into it because everybody doesn't have that insurance, and there was some kind of stipulations on that before. You know, and if there's something available for those that don't have it, I mean, I think maybe we should look into it a little bit more.
Well, what prevents them from just doing that on their own, putting out a mass marketing to all the residents without our seal? There's nothing that prevents them from doing that.
No, it just looks better for them if our seal's on it, because then people are going to think that the city is part of it. And that's what I have the issue with.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
And I have another question. Is there open enrollment for American Water's insurance for you
No,
know,
you can
your
call
home
any,
line?
you can call,
Call and
your
get it
home
anytime.
can call any month and just have it at it.
Okay.
So they're already ridiculously high rates, but
Any further questions or comments? Poll council, please.
Mrs. Green,
Yeah,
Ms. Graves,
No.
Ms. Alamin,
No,
Mrs. Hunt,
Yes.
Mr. Folks,
No.
Mr. Simpson,
no.
Mrs. Lavender Norris.
Yes.
Have 4 no's, 3 yes. No is a decision.
so it does not
I just
pass.
think it's always, I just think it's always good to explore things and look into it, and then whether you make a final
Yeah,
decision
me
on
too.
it, that's
Give
one
people
thing. But-
options.
So I think maybe
And I agree.
it could have
I
come up
agree.
as a, maybe it could have come up as a discussion as opposed to being on the
Correct.
agenda and us hearing it for the first time. I just think
All right.
because you have
Yes.
options, then we can offer the citizens of the community
Right.
different options. So that's what I was looking at it
Right.
in that vein.
You too, Mrs.
Thank-
Hunt.
Thanks.
Councilman Simpson, you had a comment?
No, I said, I agree with Mrs. Hunt that if this was something that was presented to us beforehand, before just seeing it on the agenda, I mean, it's something that we could have discussed, you know, and maybe made some modifications and done something different, because yes, everybody needs other options. But I agree with Ms. Alamin that with our logo on it, people are going to think that we're offering the insurance.
Right.
And then they're going to come after us and say, hey, this was a city insurance.
Oh, yeah, I think all the points were definitely valid that were made. Absolutely.
I agree. So next time I'll provide you all with a side-by-side and
Yeah, that would be good.
present it in discussion.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, 6.5, the Fish Rodeo. Could I get a motion?
make that motion.
Hold on 1
Second.
second. I just need to pull up one thing in reference to that, please.
What'd you say, Dave?
I just need to pull up something regarding the fish rodeo here.
On you, babe. She was talking.
She wasn't talking to you, Mr.
Hey.
I didn't hear it.
Right. Maybe we weren't supposed to hear that, but
No, I was talking to my husband. I forgot to hit mute.
we thought you were talking to Mr. Logan.
Okay, I'm sorry. Was there a motion made?
Yes,
Miss Alamin made the motion, Mr. Folks seconded. We just need there was some new information regarding it.
Yes, I'm just pulling up the email. So Mr. Terry, who is the promoter and I think he's the founder of the Fish Rodeo, he sent additional information in reference to other guidelines that they will be following for the Fish Rodeo, which is scheduled. Now it's scheduled for the night of October 24th. He writes that they would follow the CDC guidelines, and they would, push the dates out a couple of weeks to obtain license and permits. Instead of a full-blown rodeo like they've had in the past, with including fishing and pumpkins.
What would the guideline be for something like that? Like how many people?
I don't know. I would have to look at the guidelines for that. But traditionally, I think he would have. They would do like an overnight with tents. So I'm just guessing, and I'll call Dave Terry tomorrow. I'm just guessing that now you wouldn't be able to have unless your parents would be in the tent and not your friends, things like that. But I'll get a little bit more information in terms of what the CDC guidelines that he's talking about, that he will be following.
Yeah, because I think the fish rodeo is something that, it's a good event.
A very good event, very well attended. And the best part is it's a family-oriented event. So it brings out, families together. And they've done a wonderful job every time they've had it.
Yeah.
And as I said, what he's proposing now is, a movie, pumpkins, and something that allows them to be a little bit more distant from each other.
Cool.
Trick or treat with fish.
There you go. There you go.
Just trying to be creative, I guess.
There you go.
Give
Hand
the
out
kids
minis. Worms and minis. Grub worms.
Oh.
Well, that's how you catch the most fish. You keep your bait in your mouth before you put it on the hook.
Gross.
That's
Okay.
what gets the
That's
most fish.
Okay.
Every good fisherman knows that.
Okay, poll council, please.
Mr. Simpson,
Yes.
Mr. Folks,
Yes.
Mrs. Hunt,
Yes.
Miss Alamy,
Yes.
Miss Graves,
Yes.
Miss Graves, I'm sorry. I want to get you married off too soon.
Please don't.
Mrs. Green,
Yes.
Mrs. Lavender Norris,
Yes.
7-0 carries. And again, I will contact Dave Terry tomorrow, let him know about the required permits, and request the CDC guidelines that he's looking at as well.
Hey, let's close.
I think you had an addition.
Oh, yeah. 6.5.
That was it.
That was
was it.
6.5.
Oh, okay. That was it.
That was it.
All right.
I'm at work. I'm preoccupied. I'm so sorry.
Get a motion to close.
Make that motion.
Second.
Poll council, please.
Mrs. Green,
Yes.
Miss Graves,
Yes.
Miss Alamy,
Yes.
Mrs. Hunt,
Yes.
Mr. Folks,
Yes.
Mr. Simpson,
Yes.
Mrs. Lavender Norris,
Yes.
7-0 carry.
Okay, we're on to our discussion items. Are there any discussions regarding our meeting minutes?
I don't have any.
Okay, seeing as there's none, 7.2 is discussing city colors. Mrs. Hunt?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. I've talked about this several times, but we never really put it into action or motion. And I just wanted to bring it up again about our city colors. Our alma mater is the noble red and black. And when I look at our city colors, we're blue and yellow or blue and gold, which represents Downingtown.
Downingtown.
Which represents Downingtown. And I just wanted to see if we could make some action or make some moves into getting our city colors to be the red and black, like our alma mater. I don't know what steps would need to be taken, or even if council as a whole even agrees with it. But I would like to see us discuss it further, put it into action, and I would like to get a feel for how you guys feel about it.
Did anything come up before when you had said it, Ms. Hunt?
We talked about it, and everyone was like, yeah, but no, we didn't go any further with it, like putting into motion as to what we actually need to do, if we need an ordinance, if we need this or that in order to make that happen, or even how we even came up with the colors of the blue and yellow. Because all down that beautiful redone 4th Avenue, we have
Ah,
American flags and we have the Coatesville flags in blue and yellow. So
Yeah.
I would just,
Mr. Verway,
Yes, ma'am.
what would be our procedure to, or rather than putting you on the spot this minute, could you look into that and give us some guidance?
Well, actually, Madam President, I can answer your question.
Wonderful.
The official colors for the city of Coatesville are in the city code at section 119-1, setting the colors as royal blue and gold. That can be changed by ordinance. If you want to change the flag, that would also be, ordinance would also be required for that, and they could be done in the same ordinance because the description of the official flag is set forth in 119-2 and does address the colors as being gold and royal blue. So that'd be a fairly easy ordinance to draft and change to amend both the city colors and the description of the official flag.
Awesome.
Now, we would just need to go and, the expense involved in changing all the signage, the, inner, entrance into the city, the exit out of the city, and all
right,
the other stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, and my flag.
And you know what? I graduated from the Noble Red and Black, but at the same time, that's the school district. We're the city. We need to keep the two separate.
I don't agree with that.
I'm just a traditionalist. I mean, the colors have been there for years. I know. I mean, it's not quite the Downingtown because I think theirs are navy blue and gold, but
Yeah.
No,
I think that
our flag actually is not royal blue and gold. It's blue and
No,
yellow.
that's
We're
right.
more on the pale
Yeah.
blue and yellow, and we are exactly the colors of Downingtown.
Yeah.
Downingtown markets their city behind their alma mater, and I'm just asking if we could do the same for Coatesville.
what about the kids that go to Collegium? What are their colors?
That's Collegium's not in Coatesville.
Yeah,
And
but
they're
a
burgundy.
lot of the residents here go there. What about Bishop
But
But
Shanahan?
they'll
but
wear
there's-
that Run Seville red and black though.
They
It
don't.
sure will.
So I think it would be an awesome change. So we have to,
I would like to see if we could move this to an action item for next meeting.
Can we see what the expense involved would be?
Sure, absolutely.
Maybe we should get the community involved and see what their thoughts are.
That's a good idea.
We could do that as well.
Yeah.
We could do that.
Prior to jumping into this, maybe we do a survey, put it out on our website.
I've heard those comments from the community several times though, regarding our colors being Downingtown colors.
Mhm.
I've gotten those. Why
I've
are
gotten
we?
plenty of comments about how nice our flag looks.
No,
A
you
lot of cities do surveys in areas like this. I mean, it's, sometimes or oftentimes when you're thinking about changing colors, whether it's black and red or any colors, you also have to look at the branding and how colors will, pretty much transfer on, city seals, trucks, t-shirts, I mean, you name it. Colors are very important. And so it is something to look into that, when you're changing colors, you got to factor in how that color is going to reproduce on various things.
Yeah,
Well, the
because
seal
I
would stay.
think the cost of changing everything, the flags, the seal at City Hall, we definitely need to look to see what those figures will be.
We could do
to
that,
do all of that.
and even in with that, if we get the community involved, you may get some sponsors to help with that. I put it out there. If it goes up or if it goes down, it's
That's right.
it's whatever
Well,
you guys decide. But I just put it out there because I do think that our city should follow our alma mater. And when you say Coatesville, you say the noble red
Red
and
and black.
Coatesville.
Oh, I don't have a problem with changing the colors. I just want to see what the cost to do that will be.
We definitely
And the school district, the logos and stuff have white backgrounds too, so it's
They do.
actually white, black, and red.
Exactly. So, I would like to see us.
Yeah, but our emblem would stay the same, correct?
Yeah, you can keep the same emblem. Absolutely, I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, I still don't like it.
Yeah. Oh, be quiet.
I think that
You're
Things
one.
grow on you.
You're one person.
Things grow on you. So
I think this, in the spirit, excuse me, I'm sorry.
I would just like to see us start moving towards getting compiling the information, seeing what it will cost us to do that.
Yeah.
And we could get a feel from the community to see if we like that idea or not. And then again, like I said, maybe like we do for Unity Day and for the Sounds of Jazz, if we could maybe get some sponsors to help us bring it along. So that's just
Thank you. I think in the spirit of democracy, we should probably poll the community and put a poll out to see, or maybe even see if we can get 250 signatures and put it as a referendum on the ballot.
Doesn't require a referendum. It only requires an ordinance.
Well, yes, I understand, but I mean, we should maybe poll the community to see if you know.
Yeah,
if
we
they're in
decided
favor of
upon that already.
We can poll them through surveys and stuff like that, as opposed to a referendum. I believe. I think it'd be just better and easier.
Okay, thank you.
Very well. On to 7.3, the SAM Act. Ms. Graves?
Yes, so I'm gonna go ahead and send it to the chat here so everybody has it, and I'm also gonna drop it in the chat on YouTube. Just give me one second so that we all can read along and have the information. I'm gonna drop it on YouTube too. So the SAM Act is an act to create an ordinance to decriminalize marijuana within the city limits. The SAM legislation has been adopted in Philadelphia, and you know, I would like us to talk about considering what it means to decriminalize marijuana here. And just one second, I'm sending this over to the Zoom. So I think it'll be great because it will reduce the amount of arrests made in marijuana related instances, you know, for nonviolent marijuana related issues, but also it will possibly bring some revenue in the form of maybe a dispensary coming to Coatesville because it's decriminalized here.
But a dispensary is for medicinal marijuana. Recreational marijuana hasn't been approved.
Yes, that wouldn't be legal, but you wouldn't get arrested for having marijuana if it's decriminalized.
Well,
but a dispensary wouldn't help because it's for medicinal marijuana. It's not for like recreation. So if you decriminalize it, it still doesn't make it allowable.
Let's see, yeah, and decriminalization.
And I agree with you. I think it's time for a change.
Yeah. The governor is trying to do that, but the thing is that the SAM ordinance. I mean, I agree too. However, it has not. I mean, it slowed down arrests a lot, but not really because these states, these cities, even Philadelphia, are still. The police are still making arrests because the police are obligated because marijuana is still illegal.
Abide by the law.
And here with us being a third-class city, the problem is that if we can get, because Seth Williams is the one that put together the ordinance in Philadelphia as the district attorney. And we would need to
Where's he at now?
conversations, I know, have
Yeah.
conversations with Deb Ryan in order to do that. Deb Ryan is the state. I mean, her office is in the county, but she's not a county person. She's a state person.
She's a state,
And
yeah.
she can do that. She can decriminalize it. And at one point in time, when we had the DA, what was his name? Before Mr. Hagan, Hogan.
Joe Carroll.
Joe Carroll had reduced marijuana to a summary offense. But again, when the next DA came in, he changed that because they have the power to do that. You know, because the police are obligated to, because marijuana is still illegal. You know, so I think that this is a conversation that needs to be had with Deb Ryan. And as I look through, you know, because I had looked into this, and as I look at the city of Philadelphia, York, the arrests have slowed down, but you know, Philadelphia made 22,000 arrests regarding marijuana last year. You know, because the police are not enforcing that because it is still illegal.
Yes. Well, I mean, I think, you know, decriminalization would mitigate arrests, mitigate at least some arrests. So I don't know. I just wanted to put it on the table, have us discuss it, and consider what we can do to move in this direction. I don't know if that means maybe talking to Deb Ryan and advocating for it as a city. If we can't legislate it ourselves, maybe we can, you know, advocate for it as a city to Deb Ryan.
Yeah. Mr. Verway, is that a communication that you could have with Deb Ryan on council's behalf?
I could, but it might be better as a political matter for council to address that issue because it would be an act of council. You know, the state law is does preempt local law, so you're going to need some buy-in from the district attorney to agree to that, and also probably talk with the chief because you want to make sure that by decriminalizing, if you were to decriminalize, that it doesn't impact our ability to get local and state funding for police services within the city. And that's something also you'd probably want to talk with the district attorney about. So it'd probably be good to have a working group meet with the DA to talk about that issue.
Okay. Thank you.
They got it done. They got it done through the DA.
Well, I guess you know, maybe we can, I don't know, Mr. Verway, how would council go about contacting Deb Ryan to even have a communication with her on this subject?
Oh, Mr. Logan certainly can reach out to her, or the chief could reach out to her, or I can reach out to her if you would like me to. But I think it would be best for at least a small working group of a couple council people to sit down with her and explain what they'd like to do, so everybody understands, you know, how that might work if she was agreeable to it, what impacts there may be for doing so. I think it's, you know, it's important to have council representation in that discussion.
Of course, and I'd
present
be
in that
really
working
glad to be I'm sorry, go ahead, Councilperson Graves.
Yes, I said I'm willing to be a part of that working group.
And so am I. Mr. Logan, do you think you could maybe reach out to the DA and set something up?
Sure, I'd be more than happy to.
And is there any way we can, sorry.
Is the majority of council in favor of even addressing the DA with regard to this? Before we try to set up a meeting with the DA, we need to know that everybody is, at least the majority is in agreement.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I am too. And I would like to be a part of a committee if we do it.
You can wear your normal t-shirt.
Yeah.
Councilwoman Lavender Norris, is this a motion to, are you motioning to have a committee formed, or I'm not sure what direction you all are going in.
Well, that would just be a working group, so to speak, right, Mr.
Yeah.
Railway? Is it necessary that we official? Right,
There's
it
no,
would just be a
no
working
requirement.
group.
I have a question. Is there any way we can add community members to the working group?
I
No,
don't think that's a good idea right
no,
now.
it's a city, it's a government, a local government decision that we would be proposing.
Okay.
Okay,
So in putting together this committee should only be 3 people,
Right.
not 4.
Correct.
So
I think you and Councilwoman Graves and Councilwoman Alameen said that they would like to, all 3 of us would like to be on that committee, right?
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
There's 3. Is there anybody else?
very well.
yeah,
Don't pull up the county courthouse like Cheech and Chong up in smoke, though.
yeah. I know the governor is actively working, trying to legalize.
I know he must have been smoking it the last few months, some of the decisions he made.
Well, here we go.
We're getting ready to get it legalized, so. All good.
Okay.
Okay, on to our solicitor's report.
Madam President, since our last meeting, I have worked on a couple of issues with the RDA regarding proposals for development within the city, certain debt issues, and clarification of certain existing agreements with regard to debt issued by the RDA and repayment of that debt. I've also worked on some grant matters involving our parks, the city's park system, and identifying certain property owners for purposes of modifying existing restrictions on that property to ensure that those parks always remain parks. I worked on been working on a right to know request with my colleague Rob Jefferson regarding a certain information requested from our the city police department. And I've worked on a number of zoning and development issues with Mr. Logan for properties within the city. Unless there are any questions, that is my report.
Are there any questions? Very well, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Mr. Logan.
Thank you, Madam President. So I just wanted to report out on a few things happening in the city. But before I start with that, I would like to go to the previous meetings, citizen comments. I think this might be a new feature, if you will, as part of the manager's report. We had a number of comments that came in at a previous meeting, and I just want to address the ones that actually required response more directly than others. We had a comment that came in from Lisa Friday. Can someone address the trash issue in the Lumber Street alley between 5th and 6th? Lisa, we did have our codes supervisor go out in our public works, and they did report that that particular trash issue was resolved. Ms. Whitaker, it was a pleasure to meet you. And your question was, will there be a date for the roundtable discussion? We actually had a date that was scheduled for tomorrow evening for the community roundtable talk that was going to take place in the visitors lot of our police department. Due to weather and predicted thunderstorms, we are going to be moving that, and I'll get into some particulars a little bit later. We're going to be moving that to Thursday, this Thursday, from 6 to 7:30. So not tomorrow night, but moving it to Thursday night. Ms. Whitaker, again, you asked about the Ash Park renovation. So we are working with Natural Lands Trust to resume our meetings. We have an existing advisory committee made up of about 10 residents. They were meeting before COVID to talk about the feasibility study with Natural Lands Trust and our other partners. Those meetings will resume next month. And if you are interested in joining that particular advisory committee, I'd be more than happy to connect you to the dates moving forward. Let's see. There was a comment about 4th Avenue to Coates, about trash and bushes and things like that. Once again, our Public Works did go out and they cleaned up those areas there. And I think, Chief, there was a question for you. We had a few folks that wanted to know, well, when are you going to start the Coffee with the Chief? So any comments there?
We have thought about that. Working under the current COVID restrictions, we were a little concerned, obviously working through those concerns. Typically we suspend it for the holidays, December through February, holidays and the weather. So probably we're looking at, hopefully, if COVID still begins to sort of mitigate, then we would be looking to resume in the spring.
Right. That'd be wonderful. A lot of folks really enjoyed that throughout the year. And now, maybe some other folks will get a chance to come out and participate with that too. It's a great opportunity to meet with the police department, hear a lot of what the chief is doing with our local community policing. So if you haven't had an opportunity to go out and have coffee with the chief, I think as soon as they resume, you might want to join.
Yeah, we do miss that, as our monthly coffee with the chief, and also same thing with our water ice truck this summer. We miss getting out amongst the community and the kids with that, but we just felt, given the restrictions with our COVID-19, it was just in our best interest and the public's best interest to suspend that also. So unfortunately, it has impacted the way we get to interact with our community.
All right. So once again, we will be taking tonight's comments, suggestions, recommendations, and we'll bring those to the October 12th meeting. So thank you, community, and I'll go on with the rest of my report. I'd like to start with the business and community update. On Monday, September 14th, the Coatesville Redevelopment Authority voted to enter into an agreement with the National Sports and Event Center to develop a 20-acre parcel located on the corner of 30 and 82. That particular parcel is known, is known as the Flats. And one of the interesting things about this project is combined with the project that's happening across the street, which is 190 West, the headquarters for H2O Connected, directly across the street from the Flats. This proposal, $54 million proposal, will set in motion a new economic watershed for the city of Coatesville that we haven't seen in more than 20 years. So we're very excited about this opportunity here and the opportunity to have that type of capital and construction work being, basically launched here in the city of Coatesville. The project will generate a number of jobs and opportunities for Coatesville and the regional residents. Members of the RDA board, they've worked hard for months, tirelessly trying to come to the best decision and identify the best commercial use and socially impactful project for this community. And I think they've done a great job. Council members, they will be bringing their recommendation to you in the coming weeks for you to consider it. And of course, we'll all be waiting for your approval, and we're excited about this particular milestone. Still in progress is the train station. We have been working with the train station team, so to speak, that involves the county, the city, number of stakeholders, Amtrak, PennDOT, and also one of our recent additions, but not so recent, but recent on the team of grant writing, is Econ Partners. Econ Partners is assisting the city with the capital stack for the new garage that will be, kind of the jewel, if you will, of the new train station. They submitted a $3.5 million redevelopment assistant capital project, which is called RECAP or RCAP application that was submitted second week of August. And we are looking to add that $3.5 million to the capital stack for the garage, which would be in the neighborhood of $14 million to construct. Construction bids for the train station are anticipated to go out in November. And once again, I reported this at our last meeting. We are projected physical work to start February of next year. In addition to that project still in progress, we have the Gateway project. The construction work continues on Diamond, which includes new Pico conduit, new sidewalks, and streetscaping. 3082 realignment completion is targeted for spring of 2020. We've had some minor hiccups due to weather and some power lines and things like that. But we're going to be resuming talks with our contractors, and hopefully we'll get back on track in the near future. Also want to congratulate Mark Lane. Mark Lane continues to make progress on his recent acquisition of the old record building. That's 204 and 206 East Lincoln Highway. Mark plans to add a new restaurant in the building, among some other surprises for the community. So we're very excited about all of these projects happening in the city. And as I said earlier, there's a multi-million-dollar projects that's happening here, which will spark, a lot of attention for our community. So in terms of the revitalization efforts, this is going to spark housing. I'm working with Urias Cole with Second Century Alliance and Fonz Newsfond on some first-time homebuyer programs. We're very excited to prepare ourselves for this new economy. And one of the things that I think is important to think about as employees of the city, as residents in this community, is this is an opportunity for us to start preparing ourselves for this new market that's going to be coming to Coatesville. Whether you are a business owner, a resident here, I've worked with Councilperson Graves on an entrepreneur program. We've identified more than 15 new businesses here. So this is what people want. So we want to kind of upskill you to get ready for this new market. And we're going to do that. We're going to help you do it through these new programs and, working with Sue Springsteen with incubators and accelerator programs. So we're excited, and we just want, the community to embrace this as well, because we're going to have opportunities for you. You're going to have about a year and a half to get ready for it. So that's plenty of time to get certifications, to get training, to do some things to set yourselves up for a great opportunity moving forward. So our office is going to be available, Second Century Alliance. We have the support of our council members. All of these things are starting to gel in a way that we're going to have some great things happening. We do have great things happening. So as you can tell, I'm very excited about these, and I'm very passionate about where we're going moving forward. In reference to our community update and awareness, on September 19th, the Rock to Vote voter registration and census awareness volunteers got out, and they did a tremendous job. As I mentioned in my last report. There were over 100 volunteers that were recruited, coordinators, Kaya Scott, Mrs. Hunt, and Alphonse Newswan, who I call Fonz. They brought together, people to get people registered, whether you are Republican, a Democrat, Independent, you name it. They were out there just getting people to come and register. On the census side, getting out information dissemination, it was wonderful. So my hat's off to those volunteers, and good luck moving forward on anything in the future. Don't have a lot of time, but good luck to you guys mobilizing people to get registered. On Saturday, the 26th, the downtown manager, Charles Green, along with 5 food vendors, they braved the rainy weather to launch an outdoor open market. In spite of the rain and a few hiccups, a few vendors sold out of their food. And this was the first launch for a open market called the Bonfire again. And I think the downtown manager, he has additional plans to have future open markets. Hopefully he'll have better weather at the next one. On Sunday, we had a peaceful protest from local and Lancaster organization members. They gathered to demonstrate, have a lot of dialogue and action steps toward community policing, Black Lives Matter, and a host of other community-based issues. The rally was attended by approximately 50 people, and Ms. Graves and Ms. Alameen, if you want to comment, please feel free to do so. But, these protests and demonstrations, just a note to the community, we welcome them. We want you all to come out and with anything, First Amendment, you have a right to freedom of speech. So we've seen these protests throughout the country and throughout the county. Coatesville has had several of them since June of this year. And one of the things that I think personally that makes these successful here in the city of Coatesville is we manage to provide coverage for these events. A lot goes into not only from the those who are organizing it, but also from the city, because as we have groups of people coming in, that requires additional manpower. So we can't just have people come in and not have our eyes and not create a safety environment for them too. So on both sides, it takes some coordination, and I think we've been able to do that with visiting organizations here. Our police department, they've done a great job in managing, rolling out the welcome carpet, if you will, and each demonstration and rally has been a peaceful one, and we really appreciate that on both sides. So we look forward to more. I'm sure we will have more, and it segues into what we had planned for tomorrow night, but we are going to move it to Thursday, as I mentioned, and that's called Coatesville Real Steel Talk. And at that particular event, it will be a roundtable discussion. Chief will be there, I will be there, Ms. Graves, Ms. Alameen, a few of our usual suspects in the community. I guess I shouldn't say suspects, right? But a few people that are some of our leaders in the community from OIC and from CYI will be there to talk to the community in an open forum of everything that you want to talk about. It's a 90-minute, open roundtable discussion, and we hope folks here in the community would come out and show their support, as well as just be a part of the discussion. So we anticipate a lot of folks coming out for that. Ms. Graves or Ms. Alameen, would you like to comment on that?
Yeah, on Sunday, there was a protest. It was very nice. It was very peaceful. We got to hear from a lot of community members and also activists just about a vision for public safety and community policing. I would love to further this discussion at the community roundtable, really present the community to be present for these kind of dialogues and conversations. So I'm just very excited. There has been a national movement, a national uprising. I'm happy to, of course, see it in Coatesville and continue to encourage everybody to come out on Thursday to the community roundtable so that we can have this discussion as a whole community.
Thank you.
And I concur with what Council Person Graves said. I think the event went very well. And I believe these events and the roundtable, I think it's going to help the community and the city work together collectively to, you know, bring some changes on both sides. Some things that the city wants to see and some things that the community wants to see. And I think it's very important for us to have community engagement and see how our residents feel, and you know, what they want is important too, because they're residents here.
Thank you. So once again, that's this Thursday, October 1 at 6 p.m. Don't know what the weather's going to be like, but that's the day for it. So hopefully we'll see a number of people that come out. I just have a few other items and I'll wrap it up. This is one of the supporting projects from the city of Coatesville to the Coatesville Library as part of the city council members and the city of Coatesville's ongoing support for literacy and education programs. I'm pleased to inform the board and staff of the Coatesville Area Public School of our annual pledge of $7,500 for your ongoing mission here in the city. We all hope that this contribution will help continue and support the reading programs throughout the year that the library provides. And unfortunately, due to COVID, we're not able to present you with the big check like we did last year. Well, we didn't really do it last year, but this year we had planned to do it. But this year, of course, with COVID, we are unable to do that. But, you know, congratulations and thank you for allowing the city of Coatesville to be part of your literacy program. The next item I just want to talk to you all about, this is something that came to our attention maybe a year ago, if you all recall. A young lady by the name of Sarah Alderman, Coatesville owned, produced a movie, a documentary, if you will. It's called Bypass. And it's the documentary itself is aimed to really to change the way people think about Coatesville. You know, as the only city in PA, in the wealthiest county, this particular documentary talks about some of the things that, you know, have made Coatesville what it is today, some of the challenges it's had, and it really speaks to, you know, the flavor, the grit, and the resilience of the people in the community here. If you allow me, I have like a 2-minute trailer. If you allow me to show it, I'd be more than happy to. If
No,
not,
it's 10:30, 10:15 right now.
Okay, all right. If not, I can send it to you all. So it's a link to the Vimeo. But what Ms. Alderman is asking is to show the premiere of the movie October 24th, and this is the same day as the fish rodeo, but this would be on the opposite end of the city. And she would like to show the premiere in Abdella Park. And this would be, again, outdoor, social distancing. We'll space it out. But I think it's a wonderful opportunity to show Coatesville to the residents and through the eyes of an artist from this community.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. I'm excited to see it.
What was the date again, Mr. Logan?
I'm sorry?
What was the date?
Right now, she's projecting October 24th.
Okay, thank you.
Apply for a special event permit? Would that be requiring would that require a special event permit?
Yep.
Yes.
For an outdoor, has she applied for it yet?
No, she hasn't.
Okay, we need to get that done.
Yes, I will. And the last thing I have is the COVID testing information. Week to week, sometimes the locations change. For the week of 9/28 to 10/2, it will be on Thursdays at Lutheran Good Shepherd. That's 107 South 17th Avenue, Cokesville. Right now, just to kind of bring folks up to date, we have 228 cases here in the city of Cokesville. These numbers continue to go up. I know that people are out and about. We constantly are reminding people to wear their mask. It's more, more important now, or I should say, just as important now as it was 6 or 7 months ago. But more importantly, because now we're getting into the winter months, and some people are really going to get hit hard with the flu season. So please, again, wear your mask, protect yourselves, glove up, sanitizer, and if you haven't got your flu shot, you may want to consider that. But of course, you should consult your physician for that. Some people can't get them. But we want people to stay healthy as we go into the holiday season, and hopefully in the new year we'll have some vaccines that can finally end this pandemic. That's all for my report tonight. Thank you for your time. Thank you guys for being patient, for allowing me to read through this, and thank you.
Thank you, sir. Do we have any? Was somebody going to say something?
I was going to ask for council comments if I could go first, because I got to sign.
First, we have to see if there's any citizens hearing non-agenda.
I don't have anything.
Very well.
Make a motion to close.
Sorry, I didn't hear that, Councilman Green.
Yeah.
Was it?
Second.
I'll second.
Full council, please.
Mrs. Green?
Yes.
Ms. Graves?
Yes.
Ms. Salamine?
Yes.
Mrs. Hunt?
Yes.
Mr. Folks?
Yes.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
Mrs. Lavender Norris?
Yes.
7-0 carries.
We have no special events, so Councilwoman Green.
Thank you. Thank you, Council President. I just want to, I know we had talked earlier about this committee for to meet with the DA, and one of the things, and I don't know how the others feel, but I think that we need to make sure that we include the chief in this discussion.
Absolutely.
I would be happy to join in that discussion.
Because we do have to keep in mind that it is still an illegal substance, recreational. But I just want to thank everyone for tuning in. Remember, put your comments. We will get back to you, the administration or individual council members. Just excited for everything that was talked about tonight. The city is moving forward. The Flats project, I'm excited to hear more information on that. The train station has been something that's been long in coming. And to have, to know that we're going to be on their construction schedule is just phenomenal. And it just shows how fast, that things are beginning to move. So again, the affordable housing that Crosby Woods was talking about, these are all good things. And I just want to just let everyone know that Coastville is moving, Coastville is rising. And just thank everyone for attending. Thank you all. See you all, council members. Good night.
Good night.
Council
night.
President Norris, glad to have you tonight. I'm glad that you're feeling better. And continue to pray. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Mrs. Hunt?
Good evening. It's good to have everybody joining us again. Great dialogue tonight. Mr. Logan, thank you for such a detailed report. To everyone, just be safe, continue to do the things that we do. I'm excited about the things that are going on around and in the city, and I'm excited to be a part of such a great council. Chief, again, thank you for all that you do to help navigate things through the city. Just thank you to all of our staff, and to everyone. Have a good night and be blessed. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Alameen?
I just want to thank all of those that joined us tonight. I think we talked about a lot of exciting things tonight. Mr. Verway, thank you for all the research that you did on the Crosby project for us. Mr. Logan, thank you for all that you are doing and the reports and being transparent with us. Chief, thank you and your staff for what you guys continue to do, and all the staff as a whole. And I just look forward to continuing to move things forward in Coatesville and being able to continue to work with the residents to see what their desires are as well. And I just hope everybody has a good night.
Thank you. Ms. Graves?
Yes, thank you all for coming out and watching on YouTube. And thank you to Mr. Logan and Charles Green for the bonfire event this weekend. I love small and local businesses, so I'm so excited that our residents have the opportunity to have and start entrepreneurship here in Coatesville. I think that that is an excellent initiative for the people from the city to really rise up and, you know, decide to create a small business initiatives. I love that we can help facilitate getting that off the ground. And so just making sure that to remind everybody, even though we said it a whole bunch of times, the roundtable is not tomorrow anymore. It's moved to Thursday because of the expected inclement weather. And yeah, everybody make sure that you go vote and make sure you fill out your census. Chester County Stands Up is having a nonpartisan initiative to mobilize people to come out and vote across Chester County. That initiative is called Remember November. So if you're interested in that, check out their page. They're having their launch on Friday. The first week of October is Juvenile Justice Week. So make sure you are keeping up with Miss Lori Shannon Bailey and then and the Juvenile Justice Alliance nonprofit that she has for updates on Juvenile Justice Week. And yeah, I'm just very excited to see Bypass Coatesville. I am so excited to see the fruits of our artist labor here and see their artistic vision for what Coatesville really means to her and what Coatesville means to us as a community. So I'm just so excited to see Bypass Coatesville coming up this weekend. Thank you all once again, thank you all for viewing, and thank you for continuing the initiatives to, you know, make our city work for all of us together.
Thank you. Mr. Pope?
Yeah. Good evening, everybody. I want to thank you for joining us. There's a lot going on in the city. Every time I look at 190 up there, they're laying blocks and they're just doing a real good job up there. I mean, that's more jobs for the city, which is good. I know the Dollar Tree is be opening soon. There's a sign up there for the hiring. So people are looking for jobs. You got jobs right here in the city and more jobs coming. Just be safe. You know, we overlooked last meeting, we overlooked 9/11. Don't forget. Don't forget. Have a good night, everybody.
Mr. Simpson?
Yeah, I want to thank everybody for tuning in and watching us tonight. There's some exciting things going on in Coatesville, like Mr. Folk said. We got the 190 building coming under construction, coming along very nicely. We also have the exciting news about the flats and the train station, all good things. But I got to take issue with our city manager tonight and recommending and encouraging protesters from outside of the city from coming in here, because whether we like it or not, they have the right to protest. But at the same time, there's additional cost. How many police officers were on overtime for that protest last week, Mr. Logan? Do you know?
I can get that information for you.
All right. And then I'm excited about this movie and they want to have an outdoor showing, but yet then in your next breath, you said, oh, the COVID cases are on the rise. So, you know, what are we going to do? You know, we're going to have an outdoor showing, or we're going to practice social distancing. We need to figure out what we're going to do on that one there. I want to thank all of our emergency responders, our first responders out there for doing the job that they do. And with the governor talking about legalizing marijuana, Coffee with the Chief, we can also have now a marijuana with a manager. Everybody have a good night.
You're crazy.
Okay, so coffee with the chief and marijuana with the manager.
There you
What
go.
the devil.
Two good things.
I too want to thank everyone for hanging out with us and being open and willing to listen and see exactly what's going on with the city and wanting to be involved and be informed. I had an opportunity, not last, I don't know if it was last Friday or Friday before, one of those Fridays, there was a showing of Black Panther in Abdallah Park. And it was awesome. It was Parks and Rec. It was awesome because the way it was set up was like a drive-in movie theater. You know, the cars were parked, angled properly, and the volume was up on the speaker system. The movie displayed very well. It was a really nice event. It was cold outside, but it was a really nice event. So I just want to say kudos to James Bookman and the Parks and Recreation Commission. I just want to say that, you know, as a council, leadership is based on service, not power, service. And we have to lead by example. And the mere fact that our residents chose us to represent them, I just implore all 7 of us to ensure that we lead by example. We do what we expect of our residents. When we want our residents to respect us, let's show them respect. When we want our employees, our administration, one another to respect us, let's first show respect. It's easy, and it makes life easier for everyone included. I thank you again for coming out. I'm grateful, that I'm in the healing process. So I'll be able to, by the grace of God, be a little more involved. But while I am in the situation I'm in, I want my colleagues and the administration to know how much I appreciate and respect the jobs you're doing. We hired you all because of your skills and abilities, your wisdom and knowledge. And we're trusting you with all you brought to the table to ensure that our city is safe, secure, and growing. So thank you to each and every one of you for that. And to my colleagues, thank you. And please understand and know that I respect the fact that we won't agree on everything, but I do want you to consider agreeing to not agree, but keep moving the city forward, because that's what we're here for. And with that being said, God bless, be safe, have a good night, and can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a,
Okay.
I don't know, everybody made the motion.
I think it was Graves and Simpson, if I'm not mistaken.
that's fine.
Full council, please.
Mrs. Green,
She's gone.
Ms. Graves,
Yes.
Ms. Alameen. She leave too?
I don't know.
Muted.
Mrs. Hunt,
Yes.
Mr. Foltz,
Yes,
Mr. Simpson,
Yes.
Jackie's
Ms.
back.
Alameen.
I'm sorry, I was muted. Yes.
It's okay. Mrs. Lavender Norris.
Yes.
7.
Good night, all. God bless.
Night.
And thanks
Good
to
night.
all our presenters
everyone.
also.
Not at all.
Good night.